Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one
Can do it better.
It's exciting. I think the fight will happen next now. I think we'll be looking at putting an offer over in the next couple of days. So excited. It's a huge fight. It's the biggest fight for me outside of AJ Fury. Possibly the biggest fight that I've ever been able to put on. I'd say Brook was up there, but this is absolutely enormous.
Pardon my ignorance. I thought, as most people thought, that Chris was going to go over to DAZN for that fight to happen. In 2022, Chris was signed to Wasserman, and the fight was going to happen on DAZN. But Ben Shalom is talking like, I'm putting in an offer. Conor Benn is going to walk over from Matchroom to Boxer for that fight to happen. I don't think DAZN lets that happen. I just don't see it. Like, Conor Benn is a Matchroom fighter. He fights in the Matchroom gym. Tony Sims, his trainer, who runs the Matchroom gym, they're not going for it. I understand Ben needs the gig. This could be the difference between Sky kicking him off the platform or renewing his contract. It could be life and death like that for Ben. But Eddie Hearn and Matchroom have held Conor Benn's hand through the Clofamine situation. I don't see it happening then. If Ben Shalom is going to insist that it happens on Boxer, I don't see it happens. Maybe they could work something out that it's on both platforms, Sky and DAZN. But Eddie Hearn said that Matchroom were out money from the first botched attempt to make the fight. And unless Ben is going to compensate him very nicely, which is unlikely, because the bottom line is there's nothing Ben could pay DAZN. They want the content on their platform. There's some of the nut jobs viewing the situation. Well, Sky is the biggest platform, yes, for football and Grand Prix perhaps, but not for boxing. No one could compete with DAZN for boxing anywhere in the world. Anywhere. Not in the UK, but anywhere in the world. No one
Can do it better.
If this comes down to a stalemate between the promotional outlets and the broadcasting platforms, we'll see who wants to fight more. If Conor Benn really wants it, yeah, he'll cross over if that's the case. And if Eubank really wants it, he'll cross over. We'll see who wins out.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one
Can do it better.
Carlos Adames, 24-1, 18 inside the distance, WBC middleweight champion, will defend against HAMZAH Sheeraz, 21-0, 17 inside the distance. Scheduled for the 22nd of February. No venue confirmed. But I will assume Frank Warren will take control of the promotion as the PBC have limited dates over there on Amazon. Carlos Adames, last seen in action in April on the undercard of Gervonta Davis versus Frank Martin when he outpointed Terrell Gorsha, has had one fight in a year. One fight. That was the first defense of the full WBC middleweight title. He was interim champion for an age before the WBC had the bright idea, hey, we need to strip Jamal Charlo, who hasn't defended the belt for nearly 3 years. And then they elevated him. This is by far Carlos Adames' biggest fight. Maybe not the best opponent. He's fought guys like Derevyachenko and Julian Williams, who have been world champions. But it's definitely his biggest fight in terms of profile. HAMZAH Sheeraz now winning twice on Riyadh season. Could the fight end up on Riyadh season? Or if necessary, Adames might have to travel to the UK. The PBC don't have the dates, and what dates they have, are they going to accommodate Carlos Adames? 6 fights since the end of 2019 for Carlos Adames. I counted 11 for HAMZAH Sheeraz. Ring rust could hurt Carlos Adames. Could be the difference between keeping hold of that belt and having to let it go. I believe it's a tough fight. Carlos Adames is a better fighter than what a lot of people may believe. Earlier this year, Sheeraz was mandated to fight Janibek. Apparently Janibek turned it down, career highest payday, over $1 million. But Sheeraz is also ranked number 1 with the WBC. He holds the WBC silver belt, so Frank Warren is cashing in his chips there. And the Carlos Adames fight is probably easier to negotiate. So let's see if he can become world champion. Surely has a good shot.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
The new buzzword in boxing that a lot of the fans keep repeating is silent ban. I think he's on a silent ban. You're using it out of context.
You know, from your time in boxing, Johnny, I've got to ask you this. We've seen a lot of people shout silent bans. So if, say, someone's tested for a drug or wherever and they've took a ban, it's never going to get made public. I asked Eddie Hearn about this a while ago, and he basically said there's no way you could get away with doing that. So out of respect, I don't want to be mentioning fighters' names, etc. We don't know if they haven't taken silent bans, if there is such a thing. What I want to ask you is there such a thing as a silent ban?
Yes, there is. And you either take the licks and you think, all right, then I'll just lay low, and then people won't know, but you find that years later down the line. Because I'm quite sure historically we could go through fighters and then you say, oh yeah, that came out eventually. And it does happen. If anybody tells you it doesn't happen, they're talking foolishness. It does happen. If it comes out, the governing body, the people that are protecting it, keeping it quiet, they'll all be exposed to say, well, hold on a minute, how can you expose A but you can't expose B? And I know at least 2, maybe 3 fighters that have been on a silent ban.
So you're basically saying you could get done for something and they agree a deal.
No, the deal would be keep it quiet and I'll take my ban.
So when cases are made public, like Conor Benn or Dillian, there can't be a silent ban attached to it. These are open cases. Silent means I don't know or you don't know about the test results. That's a silent ban. That's silent. Now, why they do it? What are the motives? Why that is done? I don't know. Like Dillian Whyte, he hasn't applied for a British Boxing Board of Control license since he got done in 2023 for the rematch for AJ. So he fought in March of this year against Christian Hammer in Ireland. But if what Charlie Parsons is saying, Dillian is planning to fight in December in Gibraltar. Why is he picking these locations? Let's not forget, this guy was a pay-per-view fighter in the United Kingdom. Depending on who Dillian chose to fight, he could draw huge crowds at the O2 Arena and make way more for what he'll get fighting in Ireland or Gibraltar. There was some people thinking that Dillian being cleared by this Texas commission would clear him to fight in Britain. And no, it doesn't. If you get popped by UCAD in the UK, you have to be cleared by UCAD on the board. And he hasn't done that. He'd have to do what Conor Benn did, take his case to the National Anti-Doping Panel and to UCAD, whatever evidence he could take from the Texas commission, if it's legit, he could use that to clear himself. But right now, if it is true about this comeback, he's fighting in the wilderness, literally. You know, the British Boxing Board of Control have been appointed as the main organisation looking over these cards at Riyadh season. And if Dillian is to get fights, a rematch with Fury, a rematch with Anthony Joshua, a fight with Daniel Dubois, they're all licensed by the board. The British Boxing Board of Control, as much as I think they're a bunch of clowns, if they're going to say, well, this guy hasn't proved himself to be a clean athlete in our eyes, he hasn't went through none of the protocol to clear himself, then you're going to struggle to get a lot of these big fights. You know, if you're fighting in Gibraltar, tell me what top 10 opponent can the promoter of this card afford to bring you to fight? There is none. So it's going to be another Christian Hammer-esque level of opponent. And at age 36, with 5 fights since the end of 2019, Dillian has to resolve a lot of these issues. They're not just going to disappear. I heard Frank Warren, when it was suggested that Dillian can get in the mix and get a high-profile opponent, the first thing Frank asks is, has he been cleared by the board? What's going on with that? He said, once all that's sorted out, yeah, we can talk about Dillian in some of these fights. Being cleared by the Texas Commission is not going to be enough. Yeah? If you can't get over Riyadh or over here to fight in 2024, then you're way off the pace of where you need to be.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
So when Jake Donovan said the purse bid was cancelled, I was still glass half full, thinking they've came to an agreement, no need for the purse bid. So I was thinking it will either be on the 21st of December on the undercard of Usyk versus Fury, or perhaps on another potential date on Riyadh season, February the 22nd, and I believe Daniel Dubois could be defending that IBF strap. But on further digging into the situation, Team Kabayel have withdrew not only from the purse bid, but they've withdrew from the fight, and apparently Martin Bakole's trainer and manager, Billy Nelson, is doing his nut. Yeah, they withdrew from the fight. Is it a duck? We don't know. I was there cursing Kabayel out earlier on Twitter, but I don't know. They're saying that he could be getting a direct line to Daniel Dubois, so he doesn't have to participate in the eliminator. Billy Nelson also revealed that Bakole versus Zhilei Zhang is now likely to be ordered as Zhang is next in line in the IBF heavyweight rankings. But we know Zhang already turned down the Bakole fight. Let's see how he responds to this. Zhang's been doing a lot of talking about Anthony Joshua. He's a businessman. He doesn't really want to fight. Well, okay. You've been ordered an official eliminator to take on Martin Bakole.
Say something. It's a blood clot something.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Jake Donovan getting all the exclusives today. Now, this is what I was hoping for with Martin Bakole and AJIT Kabayel, is that first bid's cancelled and a deal has been reached. But no, Bakole and Kabayel has gone the way of the dinosaur. But a deal has been reached between Anthony CACACE, IBF 130-pound titleist, and the challenger, Sugar NUNEZ. Now, Eddie Hearn was talking about CACACE was going to vacate the belt. Now, I didn't think he was going to just vacate the belt. But the way he was talking at one stage, it looked like he was going to get the shot at whatever belt Vasyl Lomachenko holds at 135. So, yeah, he'd vacate it for that. It's more lucrative. But it looks like that fight hasn't come through. But the purse bid has been cancelled. And they say there's a deal reached, but from what Jake Donovan in the comment section are saying, it's still touch and go whether Anthony CACACE takes this fight. There's Carl Frampton telling the world that Anthony CACACE should fight Lee Wood over Sugar NUNEZ. It's a more lucrative fight. Listen, Carl Frampton lost my respect with the Rigondeaux situation. Him, Scott Quigg. You're telling the man not to fight is mandatory. What kind of fighter are you? CACACE might be mad at Eddie for suggesting that he didn't want the smoke. But up until yesterday, he was saying the next move in his career has to be one that makes financial sense. And in this article, it's saying that Lee Wood versus Anthony CACACE next summer at the City Ground Nottingham, a stadium fight, could be an alternative. Obviously, he would have to give up his belt for that to happen. And Eddie was talking about, yo, if you want to give up your belt, give up your belt. Eddie's going to push for Ray Ford, who looked pretty good the other week, just moved up to the 130-pound weight class to fight Sugar NUNEZ for the vacant belt. Has Lee Wood really got that type of fan base? One of the reasons he fell out with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn was in his contract, they were supposed to get him a fight at the City Ground. But that's a stadium fight. I don't think CACACE and Lee Wood is a stadium fight. I don't think Frank Warren, who CACACE is signed to, would put that on as a stadium fight. I don't think he would. Dubois versus AJ, what was that, 96, 98,000? Well, Josh Warrington bought 10,000 of that number to Wembley in his title challenge against CACACE. Can Lee Wood do that?
I don't think so.
CACACE is 23-1 with 8 inside the distance. So what's the deal about Eduardo Sugar NUNEZ, the Mexican? Why is Eddie Hearn and the likes of me saying he's so feared? Well, he has a record of 27-1, all 27 wins inside the distance. And he's not one to be trifled with. Now, I don't know what BoxRec are playing at, right? But I saw Eduardo Sugar NUNEZ fight an eliminator in Russia against Shafkazon Rakimov. And he stopped him. But for some reason, they haven't recognized this fight. So his record is actually 28-1 with 28 inside the distance. That's his record.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Undisputed 140-pound champion. 23-1, 6 inside the distance. Katie Taylor takes on the 47-2-1, 31 inside the distance. Amanda Serrano. The first fight went down in April 2022 at MSG. You don't like women's boxing? You missed a good one. It was a really good fight. How Katie Taylor ate them punches in the 5th, I don't know. She came back, that 10th round was sensational. She won a split decision. It was a really good fight. I see them at the press conference today. And Amanda looked a little jittery. Katie was very businesslike. And I'm not sure if 140 suits Amanda as much as it does Katie. Nevertheless, a tough fight. Both ladies are getting on now. Katie is 38, Amanda is 36. Amanda definitely the bigger puncher, but Katie, she brings attrition like none of Amanda's opponents have been able to bring it. I'm a little more familiar with Katie's career than Amanda's. I don't know what Amanda's history is like on rematches. The 2 rematches that Katie's had against Passoon and Chantel Cameron, she's definitely made the right adjustments in both them fights. Though you could argue that she lost both fights against Passoon, but she definitely done a lot better in the second fight. The Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, I'm not excited about it like a lot of people are. I'm just not that excited.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.